Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. What are XRP holders up to? And what is going on with the FBI, Twitter, and Elon Musk? We're going to have to talk about that for a quick second. We've got this just in. Consensus. Joseph Lubin's consensus. Judge rules against him. We're going to talk about that. You're going to want every bit of it. RBI, Reserve Bank of India. They are the president of the G20, and you're not going to like what they say about crypto, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to really want to know why it's so important. We understand why they're important. The SEC versus Ripple case, we got the updates in the lawsuit schedule. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $844 billion market cap for crypto. It's off by 0.3%. Bitcoin right now, 16,800 plus. Ethereum is 1,200 plus. Tether market cap is 66.2 billion. That's what they say. XRP is 34 cents. Let's get into it. It's off by 10.4%. But you know what? Glint, baby. Yeah. Just topped off my Glint card. Come on in. Yes, I did. Don't remember to forget to top off yours too. You know, it's a volatile world right now and may stay that way for some time. But with Glint, your gold is as safe as houses because you own physically allocated gold when you buy it from Glint. Yes, you can have it delivered to you at a point too, but you get a MasterCard debit card with an app that will allow you to take control of your gold and your finances and be able to spend it every day should you need to. It's a remarkable product. Click the link under there and check out the sponsors. Check them out. Large XRP holders balances hit all-time record as XRP accumulation intensifies. Let's take a look at it. This is what they're talking about. According to Sentiment, the XRP network whale and shark addresses that share 1 million to 10 million XRP tier have been rapidly accumulating to the end of 2022. In December, both the amount of these sized addresses, 1,617 in fact, and their percentage of supply held, 7.23%, have hit a new all-time high. Well, I can tell you this, I'm not in that bracket. But I will go back to my core tenet, which is one of my core tenets, which is I'm stacking my pennies next to their dollars. So I'll be stacking my XRPs next to their big bag of XRP. Not financial advice, just my digital perspective. Let's take a look at this. If you remember back in November, I warned Elon it was coming because we saw CBS suspend their activity on Twitter when Elon bought it. Because we knew right then it was going to hell in a handbasket. And I said, get ready, Elon. Mainstream media are going to do what they need to demonize us all on Twitter as extremists and quacks. Mainstream media is scared. People will have access to information that mainstream media can't control the narrative. The jig is up. Pack your bags, CBS. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you. How about that? Right? Yeah, gets up. And now it's FBI who really, as we learned from the document dump, was using, as it has been said by many, social media platform Twitter, and I would imagine others, as a weapon for censorship. Outsourcing censorship to social media platforms. Oh my gosh, who would have known? FBI has released a statement on Twitter files, and it says here, it is unfortunate that conspiracy theorists and others are feeding the American public misinformation with the sole purpose of attempting to discredit the agency. That's what they say. Oh boy, look what I said. What did I say? They're going to demonize us all on Twitter as extremists and quacks. That's exactly what the FBI is trying to do. Because he's behind it. He's in the secret dome. He bought the place. He's got all the emails. I want to show confidence for Binance Exchange, says Justin Sun from Tron. explaining his move to deposit $100 million into Binance as outflows on the exchange hit billions of dollars. Look, I get this, trying to shore up confidence. You know what I mean? Justin Sun, by all accounts, seems like a wonderful individual. But I don't know if look, this would have been better if it could have been Brian Brooks from Binance US, because he used to be the CEO there. I see moments like this and I go, well, why did Brian Brooks leave Binance US? I know that they're talking about Binance Malta or Binance wherever the hell it is today. And I like CZ. But why did Brian Brooks leave? Wouldn't Brian Brooks be great to be on there talking for Binance US right now? Instead, just a thought. Paxful CEO removed Ethereum from its platform, said ETH is centralized and its tokens are a scam used to steal billions from people. And that's really not that far off base from where I'm sitting. But you know what? Then there's this. Shout out to Mr. Hubert. Look at this right here, ladies and gentlemen. The judge rules in favor. I just asked about this question of this case. I said, we haven't heard anything on that case. The employees from Consensus, Joseph Lubin's Consensus from Ethereum, who I absolutely believe launched an unregistered ICO, amongst possible other opportunities of motivate. I can't even. But right here, we know that the employees or shareholders of Consensus actually sued him over illegal activity. Well, the judge rules in the favor of the shareholders today. 2 days ago. To approve or reject transaction that founded Consensus Software, it says right here, it doesn't seem outright absurd to suggest that the board of directors was in conflict of interest when signing the SCA sales contribution agreement that transferred the assets. Therefore, the item on the agenda, shareholder vote, is to be submitted to the general meeting for resolution. A judge ruled in favor of vote to approve or reject the transfer of MetaMask and Fura to Consensus Software, Inc. At the time, if my memory serves me right, that was being done to try to really offset what the shareholders really deserved to get, to kind of work around. Here's some better news. This is Ashish Birla right here, one of Ripple's board members now, formerly the GM of RippleNet. And now he's moving on as he's still a board member at Ripple, but he's also going to be an advisor to Panther Ventures, which is interesting because they have been in collaboration apparently with Ripple for some time. Because as she said, has had a ringside seat in the evolution of Web3 crypto for the past decade. He says, I'm personally excited to continue our collaboration from the Ripple days, and looking forward to leveraging his 9+ years of crypto expertise and experience in Panther. And essentially what they're looking set out to do here is to create a privacy layer for decentralized finance. Look, this is important on a couple fronts. I mean, we know decentralized finance, next iteration of banking and finance. Full stop. Right? But here's another thing too. We also know that the issue and the high risk area of DeFi right now, one of the main areas of concern is bridging and privacy. So you got the bridging. That's why you got Layer Cake and Flare, right? And that's supposed to help with that, insured bridging. I want to know more about that. I know all of you do too. But I tell you, this is very interesting to me because I did not know Panther Protocol was collaborating for some time with Ripple before now. So that is something we're going to watch. Now, Brazil's cryptocurrency regulation set to become law at midnight. Well, we look at this and basically what it says here. It was approved by the Chamber of Deputies 2 weeks ago, aims to regulate providers of virtual assets. If outgoing president doesn't veto it by the end of day, it will automatically become law. Brazil has been one of the forefront for digital payment innovation. We know that Ripple has huge ties down in Brazil. So this is something we're going to want to watch very closely because the SEC doesn't have a thing to say about any of this, right? The central bank is also has a digital currency that is currently testing and plans to issue in 2024. Very, very exciting. Look, this is a big piece of news right here, whether you know it or not, and I'm going to be quick about it. But look, it is a big deal because the G20 is a big deal. And who happens to be sitting? The presidency of the G20 rotates, right? And currently, right now, India is in the presidency of the G20 right now, which means they get to determine agendas and discussion for what is going to be the things to talk about and the things to do, right? Well, this is what they're saying. They're talking about this. Our view is that private cryptocurrencies should be prohibited because if we try to regulate it and allow it to grow, please mark my words, the next financial crisis will come from private cryptocurrencies, Das said. They have no underlying value. They have huge inherent risk for macroeconomic financial stability. And yet to hear any credible argument about what public good or what public purpose it serves. The term private cryptocurrencies is being used to make a distinction between a public-private or public cryptocurrency, such as India's CBDC, and cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and Ether, which are issued by private players. People familiar with the central bank's functioning told CoinDesk. He said, I think the term private cryptocurrency is a fashionable way to describe otherwise 100% speculative activity. It's not exactly far off base right there, right? But remember, as holding the presidency of the G20, giving the power to set agenda, this is something to watch very, very closely, ladies and gentlemen. And then there's this. Senator Pat Toomey introduced a stablecoin bill that aims to guide Congress towards future crypto regulation on the heels of his retirement in 2 weeks. Shout out to him and the work he's done on this matter. Through all of the hearings, I have to say, if there has been one that really stands out, to not only call out what they see is wrong, but to take efforts to put bills forward and put legislation forward to be ruled on. I got to give it here to Senator Pat Toomey. The bill apparently would establish a new federal license for payment stablecoin issuers. The legislation would allow recipients of the new license to issue payment stablecoins along with depository institutions, state-based money transmitting businesses, non-depository trust companies, and national trust banks. By digitizing the U.S. dollar and making it available on a global, instant, and nearly cost-free basis, stablecoins could be widely used across the physical economy in a variety of ways. He has such a fantastic understanding of the space. He really does. And that is a rarity to find on Capitol Hill. However, he is retiring in 2 weeks. So the chances of this getting picked up, pushed, and reintroduced, who knows? Something done before the end of the year? I don't know. But I do believe stablecoin legislation, however, will be the first thing addressed in the crypto world. That's just my thought on it. Now, we do also know that the House has been working to put together what they have is called the Trust Act, would define key terms like digital assets, payment stablecoin issuer, and so on and so forth. So we'll have to see what happens here. But I believe that is the next thing to happen, and it'll be a while before we get legislation on the whole crypto space. I see them breaking it apart that way. Just like we could see the court case get ruled on in many different ways. And very quickly, we have entertained a notion here of others and myself thinking, how do you get a Ripple test instead of a Howey test, the way Stuart Alderati said originally in the days of the lawsuit, without going all the way to the Supreme Court? And if we went to the Supreme Court, would it hurt Ripple? Certainly it could take time and suppress it, right? Or goes to appeals. I'm certain. Look, there's a couple dozen ways that this could shake out. We know this from John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan, and shout out to them. And I'm not trying to confuse things here. I do not know what's going to happen. And I want this over with clarity, not only for XRP, but for retail investors, so we can continue to buy, hold, sell, trade, the whole bit the asset the way we were doing before this court case started, but I don't know that that'll be the case. I don't know that it won't. But what I do know is that there is a question in my mind that wonders if there will be a judgment where segments of the case are ruled on individually, like sales prior to on-demand liquidity in RippleNet, right, versus afterwards, and maybe other distinctions too. But if that's the case, I don't think it's wrong to think to ourselves that it may go to appeal, depending who wins on certain issues or not, right? But the interesting thing about it for me is that should it go to appeal doesn't necessarily mean that it would be a bad thing for Ripple. If Ripple gets a judgment in their favor and allows them to continue with U.S. adoption, the SEC would be the one to appeal if they didn't like it. And if they appeal, the way I understand it from the legal analysts I've spoke with, Ripple could take that win and continue to move forward with adoption here in the U.S. and abroad, as they have been. That's how I understand it. So it's not necessarily the worst thing in the whole wide world. I've always thought of it like there would be some kind of legal dog leash allowing the U.S. to work with Ripple, to work with XRP, the asset, moving forward, and then ultimately have the case visited at the appellate or Supreme Court level so we can have something as strong as the Howey test, but the Ripple test for digital assets, because this is a new technology, right? And back in the day, securities products and instruments and investments scheme and these things needed to be defined too. So I think we're at that moment again. Now, whether it has to go that far to get that strength and precedent for the space, I don't know. I certainly want to see a resolution 5 minutes ago, and I certainly believe in my mind that XRP deserves to be and is a virtual currency. But with that and 50 cents, it won't get you a cup of coffee. But I digress. Let's get the latest on the dates in the case very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we had before us. Today is December 22nd. Parties filed the omnibus motions to seal all materials relating to summary judgment motions, including briefs. The 56.1 statements and counterstatements, declarations, supporting exhibits. Parties must also file proposed redactions to those materials at that time. January 4th, any non-parties must file a motion to seal a summary judgment materials to the extent the non-party seeks additional or different sealing treatment or redactions than requested by parties if no motion is received by. And then it says January 4th, the non-party waives their right to object to the court's ultimate ruling on the party's motion to seal or redact the summary judgment materials. It says January 9th, 2023, parties file opposition to omnibus motions to seal that were filed on December 22nd. So we know that that's another key date to watch out for. January 13th, however, the parties must file the Daubert motions and accompanying exhibits on the public docket with redactions consistent with the court's December 19th ruling of 22. And January 18th, all parties and non-parties must file oppositions, if any, to non-party motions to seal that were due on January 4th. That's what we have for you. Shout out to James Filan. Shout out to John Deaton, Jeremy Hogan, and everyone else in the legal community who has helped us along the way through this trial understand what is going on. I would be lost without you. There's no doubt about it. Very grateful. That's going to do it for me. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. Make sure you check out all the links underneath the video, the great products and services I use each and every day. I'll catch all of you on the next one.